the CIA and government, what is their directive? Why influence the people to soften them or to make them sheep? Is it for their own good? Could that be? Is it genuine, or is it for more controlling efforts, nefarious, malicious, Machiavellian efforts to weaken the people?
Yeah. I mean, to weaken the people, I don't know if it's directly to weaken the people. I wouldn't quite say that. I wouldn't say it's for the people either, though. It seems that this is about controlling the narrative, controlling uprisings. Let me see more about this. Keeping people in place socially is what's coming up. And okay, so this is similar to how the church and the state used to be connected and religion would control people. Now, rather than using religion to control people, they control social movements and things of that nature. So,
Oh, interesting. So now, instead of it being a church and the Pope controlling the people, now it's like media and social media is like the new religion. So they're aware that that is the influence to get to the people.
right, it does seem much bigger than social media, though. I'm getting there's something more here, so let me see what this is about. I get that they like literally can take people out. Calling people terrorists or whatever when or like extremists or whatever is coming up. Let me see why they're calling these people terrorists or trying to shut down specific movements. Just give me a moment here. I just hear the words, "We want to control you." That's obvious. Why are they attacking these specific people? It seems there are things that they want to keep under wraps. Don't want to get too conspiratorial here, but it seems like there's information they don't want people to know. Knowledge is power. They want to conceal some knowledge here. They're also trying to fight for their own existence, for their own purpose to continue to exist as an organization. And so they need to control the narrative to kind of have a reason to have the power that they do to
Are
continue
they
operating.
are they using other mediums to control the narrative, such as like movies and television? Like, what would be other sources of things to stay away from, for example, if you didn't want to be influenced by these entities?
It looks like even just social movements, like places you wouldn't expect, like groups, like you go to a club and there's people talking about a specific political ideology or movement or idea or revolution or something like that. And it seems like they are basically infiltrating these. This seems it's like it's gone back for a long time. This does not seem like anything new, although it does seem like past 75 years or so, seems like that's the range where it's really like bulked up and been
And when you say they, this is the
CIA,
government or CIA? Okay, the CIA specifically.
CIA, yeah, specifically.
And what is the
Uh,
knowledge that they're looking to conceal from the people? Specific knowledge.
okay, let's see here. I'm seeing a letter. It kind of looks like the Bill of Rights or something like that. What is this about? There's a list of names on it. This is things that have happened in the past. Um, these are, it's like they're covering up their own tracks. Okay, so there is an initiative here to keep people from rising up, but also to create kind of fake revolutions where people are led. It's kind of like how they can infiltrate an organization and get people to buy drugs, acting as a drug dealer just to bust them. But it's kind of like they set movements up for failure just so that the people who would otherwise be in a movement that would be more powerful will join that movement, and it will just tumble over itself and go
But this
nowhere.
seems like normal CIA activity, like what you'd not only
Yeah.
expect, but you'd want to have in place, because you don't want disruption in the day-to-day lives of your average citizen. And I feel like misguided revolutions, information that spins out of control, things that gain momentum, that disrupt the economy or purchasing power, even though that happens regardless. But like in the case, not to go too deep in it, I did want to make this somewhat short, but the case with Tate is an interesting one to build back to. Not that it should just focus on him, but what comes to mind is like, you're not familiar with him, but when I looked him up, he embodies masculinity in a world where now it's changing, where it's like the people who are running these social media platforms, let's just say, just to speak broadly, like are nerds and dorks, just jokingly, but like you're not going to have a certain kind of people there. You're not going to have like an alpha element there. So, and I bring that up because what he personifies is like, a real, like a masculine dominant man in a world where people are brought up on this like reality where a man is like someone in like a Friends episode or in Disney, and they have these relationships. That's not real human nature. So like the men that are brought up are like, lack of a word, beta men. And he's kind of bringing out like, you're in the matrix, this is not reality. Women really want this. They don't want this kind of man that are pushovers. They want someone who can take charge, make money, work out, drive fast cars. You know what I mean? Like that kind of mentality. So when I hear about the CIA and their efforts to squash, I don't see the connection other than making men in general weakened, like with the way they make mink with the foxes. Like they're very docile foxes through evolution. They just genetically bred them softer and softer and softer over time, where they used to be like kind of feral animals. But like the mink, the fox themselves, they're almost like like little puppy toy dogs, you know what I mean? And that's what I see with men happening. I don't know if that makes sense, but why would the CIA do that? What you described is almost fair. Okay,
I
I'd
guess
expect that.
Although I was getting that list of names, there was some corruption, like maybe the means to the end. The way they went about it, I was definitely getting there was some definitely corruption there. And that was really just like the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, I see. Okay, all right. So we won't get too far off track, but all right. Listen, this was.
But yeah, when you
Mhm.
were saying that about Andrew Tate, I was getting that I was getting that there's some sense that this is kind of like a trial. The way that like I mean, not like a court trial, but like a test. Not that it was intentionally done towards him, but it was kind of set up to be like, okay, well, this is kind of going to be like the programming of the system to just naturally do that automatically. And so it seems like that is just like an automatic process that's been programmed into the system now. So, I might not be targeted at him, but it just seems to be targeted at people who are, I guess what you're saying, a threat to this more, I don't want to necessarily say docile system, but it seems more like people who are just simply not conforming, basically.
Okay. Okay.
But I
All
think
right.
that you're on something with what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just
I
saying
see.
it how it comes to me is all.
Okay. All right. So we'll leave it at that. I think that was great insight, and I can't wait to break down this video because we've covered a good range of topics that I think strikes all
Yeah.
the chords. CIA, conspiracy.
Yeah. I can go really far down the rabbit hole, but I don't know if I should, especially with
Yeah.
YouTube.
Well, we could
That.
put this. We could put a certain section behind, um, like a wall, and put it on Rumble or something. Is there anything any highlights that? Where do the juicy stuff? Give
What you
give us
want
the
me to go into
conspiracy.
right now, really quick?
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
let's see what comes with the CIA here. There seems to be somewhat of just like this huge organization where that's just like they're taking money and kind of funneling it into themselves and stealing it from the rest of the world, natural resources. It's almost like underground. I wouldn't say it's like an underground survivalist bunker type of thing, but it's like I just get the sense that it's like underground and hidden, and there's a lot of these extra resources, and it's kind of like they have their own toys. Although this isn't just like everyone in the CIA either. This seems to be just some individuals. I get very there's a lot of covert operations here connected with other things. I'm just gonna say technology that may be far more advanced than what we know about in the public. And if you really want to get into it, this seems related to beings that could either be just entities or aliens, or not trying to get too out there, but beings that are not human and intelligence with technology. I'm getting a lot of control over the mind, um, like manipulation of the mind. So I guess this goes into the mind control conspiracies. So this does seem to be, I guess, MK Ultra makes sense. That's what's coming up here. Um, but there seems to be some really, really advanced technology that we do not know about that is used within that system.
So the
Keep
mind
going.
control technology that originates from these entities, are the entities in nature like more interdimensional, or are they alien in the traditional sense where they would come from another place, or are they like a collective consciousness that are channeled? What technologies
This
can we
definitely
find out?
seems, sorry, this
I
definitely
just
seems like
Mhm.
it's entities that are like non-physical that are being kind of channeled, I guess. But it seems like it's kind of a mix of many things. It seems like some of this technology started out from more like physical craft that they found, reverse engineered. Then they used that sort of technology to advance their understanding of science to then work more with non-physical entities and information regarding that. And it looks like kind of breaking through to other dimensions, other frequencies, vibration of existence. And it seems like that's kind of like they went to those two steps, and now they're kind of, it looks like they're moving somewhere else higher. Let me see, what are they trying to do now? They're trying to like engineer the future is what it looks like. um it seems kind of like psychic work, but with technology, and seeing robots involved.
So it sounds like, not to draw conclusions, but they're amplifying a certain psychic influence, distant mental influence over the masses. Is that accurate?
It seems like the step below what they're working on now. That seems like old news.
Okay.
What they're doing now is they're like literally shaping the future in a different way. I'm not sure what this is
What is
about or
their
how.
what is their future? Is it more, there's only two outcomes for human nature. There's the you know, the collective, the benefiting the people, and we all move together, or there's the consolidation of power and then the slave on the bottom. What is
So
their direction?
it's definitely more towards the empowerment of consolidation of power within under their umbrella of power. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, it definitely doesn't seem positive.
The Emperor
I don't
Strikes
think
Back kind of a thing.
that. What's that?
The Dark Lord, or what is it? The
Uh,
Star Wars. You know.
yeah, kind of. I mean, there's a hint of that. I feel like they're a little more humane than that, but there's definitely an influence of that type of energy here. It seems like they almost justify it, and in some way they can almost be like, well, this is like good on some level, so it doesn't really make sense though. But it's like when someone feels that there needs to be, like, the rules need to be respected, and they become like a enforcer of the rules, kind of like
Yeah. Order.
a cop. Yeah, it's like they feel like that is necessary, and otherwise it would just be like we're just wild beasts with no civilized manner. And so they're like, we need to control this, but it's really not helping. And for
In
some
this day
reason,
and
they
age, it's clear to reach escape velocity, to not have any influence over those energies, you need to have a lot of money. It's like you have a certain element of freedom where you have layers of protection between you and that. But what can people do on an individual level to essentially, well, let's say, reach out to those kinds of entities in consciousness? I mean, could they channel and get certain technologies on their own? Could we do that? Could we get protection? Could we influence our own lives through the same means? Or is this unique to their physical technologies that they got through their vehicles? Or
This, I'm not going to say is impossible for anyone to do, but it seems like, generally speaking, this is something that, first of all, it seems the entities that they're specifically targeting, what comes up is like Aleister Crowley, actually. You know who Aleister Crowley is? I don't.
I'm not familiar with him. I think I've seen some images
He
that.
was
Mhm.
he was an occultist. He was the first self-proclaimed Satanist.
Okay.
He he inspired a lot of like the modern day Satanism movements, which is not like what people necessarily think of. It's kind of more like philosophical, and a lot of them don't even literally believe that Satan exists as an actual being. They just like to hate on Christianity, et cetera, et cetera. But he was kind of before that, and he was all about just magic, and there's a lot of conspiracies about him. But he comes up as someone who is in contact with similar entities as what the CIA is in contact with. And I would suggest not trying to be in contact with these entities. But it does look like there was a level of technology needed by the CIA in order to like fully embrace that. Unless you're someone like Aleister Crowley, you're able to access that on your own. He
Hmm.
also did a lot of drugs, and I'm getting something about the drugs kind of enabled this to happen. Like it kind of breaks down your connection to the world in a way that's kind of the opposite of grounding, but it's more like um, opening up the door, so to speak, um, but in kind of more a chaotic, less controlled manner than grounding, where you do it more intentionally. But you wanted to ask more about how do people can people come in contact with beings of a similar nature, but not quite so
For their own benefit,
for their own
like
benefit,
not
for their own
not
benefit,
just for like love and peace and meditation, but you know.
for the yeah. Oh yeah, that's just very simple. I mean, it's simple to say. It's more difficult to kind of have the full experience. But I think people do this all the time without even really realizing it. It's just that sense when you feel like you are being watched over. A lot of people say like, "Oh, I feel like the angels are watching over me," or "you have good luck," or whatever. Really, you can just ask in your in your mind. You don't have to say it out loud or anything like that. You can just set the intention that you want your guides or whatever helpful energies are to help you out. But you have to be kind of specific here, because if you're really vague, then it might not work in a way that is helpful for you. So I'd say the best way to do that is to really visualize, um, or even just think the words out loud in your mind about what it is that you want. And then a technique I use is to kind of visualize a sun above you of gold light that's just kind of shining down that vibration of whatever that intention is into your body and into the auric field around you, just your energy around you, just anything that may be not aligned with that, to just allow it to kind of melt away and be cleansed by that light.
Hmm. Okay.
That's my answer. There's going to be a million different answers to that question. That's just my
Well, you touched on a few different, you said set your intention, and then another angle is to ask your guides. And then you mentioned visualization, or essentially a meditation, but maybe you don't have to go into it, shut your body down in a deep place. Maybe it's just the act of doing and then you're asking for something. So you're, I guess, in the modern words would be manifesting those whatever that is. But
Right.
in my experience, with like, well, to be greedy, let's say it was always to get more money, right? I noticed
Right.
it doesn't really work, or to get other people money. And I noticed that in order, like the most success that I've seen is when you're transformed into the thing that can receive more money. And we talked about that briefly before, but I wonder if we can use
Right.
those methods to like receive certain technologies or something else. I'd have to put some thought into that and see where that goes. But that's an interesting topic that essentially the CIA is using those the what do you call it, like the modern day, the mystic world, the new age stuff, and they're using it for their own, you know, nefarious means. Which I
Right.
thought
I
is
mean, there was a lot of remote viewing done by the government, and I'm convinced that that's still going on. They say that it was a failure and it didn't work and it didn't produce accurate information, but if you ask just about any psychic, they'll all tell you like, oh yeah, that's a thing. That's the government's, all the major countries are still using that. Yeah. There's
been
always
throughout
a
the ages too.
yeah, there's always a
It-
percentage of error, but you just take that factor into consideration. So
hmm. All right. Well, I think this was a fantastic session. I think we got to break it down to a few different parts, because categorize it, because we covered over a lot of different things. But it was a great demonstration of what you can do. And I think if people want to get their own reading while you can, because I know you'll probably get booked up, but psychictie.com. We'll put the link in the description, and that's all, folks. Any parting words for our viewers?
I don't know. Get a rating if you want.
All right. All right, cool. Peace out, folks.
All right, thank you. You have a good one.